Hello and welcome to this another edition of the Crypto Club and Digital Assets weekly catch-up on Zoom. It's Sunday the 7th September 2025 and this week, as is always the case, never quite know what we're going to end up. Subjects really depend upon the audience, but quite often includes blockchain, whether that's layer 1, layer 2 solutions, things like Bitcoin, Ethereum, the major altcoins like Solana. We also talk about DeFi, NFTs, innovation with the integration with artificial intelligence. We sometimes talk about central bank digital currencies, crypto regulation, and so much more. So if you're a novice and you're new to this space, then stick around. Hopefully there'll be something that you can learn. If you're somebody who's more experienced, then come along and maybe contribute as well, share with us the projects that you're involved in. We hold these sessions every Sunday evening, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. UK time, and everyone's welcome, novice and experts alike. Do remember, if you enjoy this, then click on the like, subscribe, make comments. Even better, join us for a future session. So with that, let's see who's going to come and join us today.
Hey, Gary, you've got the right accent. I think the crypto world has gone dead.
Mm.
It seems to have died. Trump's offering the other day sank, which expected it to, but he still made money, and so did his buddies. But I'm not seeing the same excitement and vitality with the crypto world over here.
Yeah,
And I don't know why.
it's strange. I wonder if it's simply a reflection of how the entire market is shifting. So you take a look at how more and more publicly listed companies are announcing that they're taking crypto holdings as part of their treasury.
Right.
Not as a major thing, but more along kind of like the strategy style of, well, we'll hold some crypto just for diversity of treasury holdings now. And what that means is that the nature of that is very, very different to people who were entrepreneurial, gambling, looking for opportunities in there, to people who are just like, oh, well, I need to have 5% in Bitcoin because my treasury management team say that, I need that level of exposure. So I think in some ways the nature of the market is changing, which means there's no need for innovation. Because if it's just that you've got it's like saying I've got a 5% holding in gold, 10% in property type thing. That means it has no impact on the actual market in terms of there's no need to innovate or disrupt or anything. So,
And there's no movement either.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Well,
Elena was just saying how the crypto world seems to have gone very quiet of late and quite boring. There doesn't seem to be any interest or innovation or even enthusiasm, despite there being a load of regulations coming out, which should be improving things. I think everyone's moved on to the next big thing. And I think the next big thing is currently stable coins, but I'm not really sure at the moment.
there's a lot of
Right.
investment in. Sorry, Lena, go ahead.
Uh, Hello.
Mm.
Hi,
Uh,
Stuart and Gary.
It's like
Uh,
rabbit
yeah,
where
in
are
if,
you?
if
headlamps.
there are
Where are you today, Lena?
in Ireland, at home in Ireland,
Ireland.
the summer season is over. So yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Maybe it's all been quiet because of the summer. And Gary, you mentioned that last week.
Mm.
Maybe there will be some development or some news soon in the crypto sphere.
Yeah. But it's interesting because we talk about seasons because we get affected by them in the West. But you look at the crypto market, crypto in theory is global. And so, whilst it may be the end of summer in Europe, that's not the case in Asia or India or South America. And I always found it interesting. I think it was I can't remember who it was who said it now, but he pointed out that it may be crypto winter in the UK and it's crypto summer in South America type thing. So I guess it could still be the seasons, which would mean that it is still Europe or the
You,
West
you
that's
haven't
having
got
an
much in the
influence?
southern hemisphere in Latin
No,
America.
no.
That's you got Chile, a little bit of Brazil, Paraguay,
Mm.
Uruguay. Um,
But maybe that's it. I agree with South America, but certainly Asia. You take a look at the general interest in crypto in like South Korea,
yeah,
particularly where it's linked with gaming and that.
look at
That's
the
a very
economies. Look at their
mm,
economies, Gary.
mm.
They're not doing real well.
Are there any economies that are doing well? I mean, maybe that's what the issue is at the moment. That it's more to do with a global feeling of recession is having a bigger impact. So
Right.
yeah.
I mean, there was what Salesforce had said they'd laid off 40,000 people due to AI. It isn't one go, but I keep seeing layoffs, 5,000 going, 10,000 going. Um, it's not good. And this is the time of the year that you get layoffs as well, because you're getting into the fourth quarter
Mhm.
and your results are due in January. So you've got your shareholder meetings and you've got your 10Ks and so on to file. Um, Better trim those numbers. So lower 10% of performers, cut them.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't take a
Well,
charge off.
yeah. Which is a strange thing as well, because in some ways that's exactly the point where you should be investing more in people in order to get the business up.
Mm,
But I wonder if it's still related to how a lot of companies do like annual budgeting and that,
yeah,
whereby well, once
yes,
you're three quarters of the way into the year, your customers aren't going to be buying anything else because they've used their budgets up type thing. So all you can do is cut costs because you're not going to increase revenue. So
yeah.
yeah, I think you're right. That may well be it. So oh,
And things are getting relatively more expensive here in the States, which is a large market for crypto.
mhm.
And so people are cutting back. You're seeing a lot of retail going out of business here.
Okay. Let's see if JT's got anything more positive. Thanks. He's just joined
Oh,
as well.
positive?
A different
I think.
perspective. Go on,
About what?
JT.
What are
We're
you guys
just
talking about?
we're just lamenting how it is that the crypto market seems fairly dead at the moment. So there's nothing much exciting happening. There's no big news coming out. There's no major market moves or anything. It all just feels very, very quiet. And we're wondering, is it just the time of the year? Is it the global economy, or what?
I think it's a combination of factors, yeah, and including that this crypto cycle is quite different from previous ones, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the way I read it, look, first of all, summer, yeah, and this summer was better than any other summer in crypto, apart from in May, June, beginning of July, yeah. We got it in 2020 DeFi summer, and then towards end of August kicked off again. So it was a good summer in 2020 for DeFi, yeah. But there was a but at that time, yeah. That was COVID, and a lot of people stayed at home. So a lot of people had a lot more time, yeah, and people couldn't go out. Scared or not, doesn't matter. There's many things that happened at that time, but it was a good summer for crypto, which is quite unusual because every year he goes quiet until first, second week of September. Yeah. So I don't think this is much different from that perspective. Yeah. I mean a slowdown on during summer, but this summer. Actually, there was times worse this year, yeah, for crypto. And I think we saw Bitcoin going twice to 123K, yeah, if you remember well, just this summer, yeah. So it wasn't that bad. The problem is many people are saying, oh, it's quiet because in previous cycles, we already had rotation to altcoins, yeah, and we haven't had that yet. So that's why I think a lot of people are are, oh, it's quiet, and it's it's not for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and a few other tokens. Yeah, we even saw CRO from Crypto.com going to about 41 cents. In just 1 week, like from 14 cents. And since I think June, or 8th of July, it went from, I think, I can't remember, for 7 or 8th of June or 7 or 8th of July, it went from like 8 cents, to then 41 cents. So, I mean, there is a quite a big difference from previous cycles, and maybe that's why people are saying it's a bit quiet,
Well, this is where the thing I find interesting. I pulled up a chart just to share an idea with everybody that we've got the crypto market overview here and overall crypto market capitalization. So this is Bitcoin, Ethereum, everything. And we can see since 2022, it was fairly flatlining. Then we had a peak and then another peak, and we're going through a bit more of a peak. But we're only just getting back to like 4 trillion in total, in terms of the total amount which is actually tied up in crypto. And what I'm curious about is I think a growing percentage of this commitment in crypto is in stable coins. And if that is actually true, and I've not actually managed to do the research on it yet, then that actually means, in a way, if you remove stable coins out of the equation, in some ways the crypto market cap is shrinking. If you see what I mean, because I don't kind of count.
I don't think this with stable coins. Usually, I don't see this type of graphs with stable coins on it. Yes, usually. So
okay, but the coin market one, I seem to remember I checked into it previously. It does include stable coins, so it's like USDT, USDC.
You can't filter it.
No, I was just looking on that version that I had, and I don't believe that it.
Then that's rubbish, isn't it? Because I've seen several graphs of those.
Oh, hang on. No, I'll stand corrected. It would have helped if I'd have looked at the right bit. So if I just pull it up again here, in actual fact, the stable coins are the greens. So at the moment it says around about 6%. And it actually says that that's been fairly stable, which is ironic for stable coins. So is it just that the hype of stable coins is growing then?
No, not really. It's really more institutional players coming to, I would say top 10 tokens. Okay.
Okay.
And they are Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Ripple, Twitter, and this last month CRO. So they are kind of they start to understand who are the strong players. Yeah. And then also, I told many people since April to look at crypto.com because it is in the name. Yes, I mean, the brand itself is just insane. So, many people, there were some problems in the past, obviously, but in looking forward, that's what, if you're going to invest, if you're going to do something with an institutional player with some existing exchanges or whatever, then you need to look. You need to forget about what happened early with certain projects because all of that fell, including Solana. Do you remember when Solana froze? Yeah, completely in 2021 twice. If that happened with any other brand, they will just be dead completely. So they were quite lucky as well. So I think it's just traditional investors, and then announcements of ETFs as well for some of these tokens. That helped a lot to bring institutional money, and it will continue to come. Yeah. So now I think things are about to change. Okay, towards the end of this month, if things go as the Congress wants to in the US wants to approve the laws by end of this month, then it means it opens the door to the whole American market. Yeah, any company that in the US can create a token or a stable coin. So imagine what's going to happen. Yeah, in my opinion, it's going to be insane. So I think we're going to start to see a big acceleration between middle of September until the end of the year.
Because I saw something about the US regulation around the SEC and CFTC and providing more regulatory clarity. It was interesting. There was a comment, there we go, around about the updated bill that's coming through, the Responsible Financial Innovation Act, where they're talking about clarifying the whole SEC, CFTC, kind of like where they sit and what their responsibilities are and that kind of thing.
It's relevant. Well, it's relevant, of course, always.
Yep.
You know, they need to separate those things. So, but it's because new laws are going to come out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So whatever regulations there is today, as soon as Congress legislates, the regulators, SEC, and whoever needs to abide by those laws. You know, the regulations have to match that. So, it's relevant and irrelevant at the same time. I think everyone then needs to abide by those regulations, and we spoke this several times, Gary. Regulations drive adoption. I mean, it has had over the centuries, you know, so it's no different at this time, in my opinion.
Well, usually I think regulation stifles innovation, doesn't it? It doesn't accelerate it or anything.
Well, bad regulations stifle innovation.
Yeah,
yes.
But that's a fair call. Yeah.
As we've seen in the financial markets, you know, if you don't have regulations, scams will come. I mean, all of us that have been in crypto have been somehow exposed to scams, or even, I'm not going to say the four-letter word, you know, but you know what I mean, by scams, you know. And some of them are quite sophisticated. Even for you and for me and for other people to understand that straight up front is quite hard, you know. So then you're going to spot them later on. And at that point, you probably already have some exposure of whatever kind, and you just have them to start to fix things, you know, somehow. But, you know, my point is you will need always regulation, anything that has value. Yeah, especially if it goes to financial markets. Yeah, and that's the case for crypto. So I think properly done is never going to stifle innovation, in my opinion. You know.
Yeah, I think that's a fair call there. It's what I describe as appropriate and proportionate regulation.
Yeah, correct.
Shouldn't harm things. Yeah, but I think it's rare that regulation ever is either of those things. So
yeah, I mean, look. There are things that are going to have impact, of course. You know, the regulation will come, and that I have no doubt it's going to drive adoptions. You know, imagine an Apple token or an Amazon token, a Google token.
So maybe
for
this
example.
maybe this is it. That I've kind of like been here, seen that.
Gary, I can't hear you.
We've lost you.
We've lost you, Gary.
Keep talking.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I seem to be having problems with my microphone connection today. So, yeah, I mean, maybe we're just going through a cycle again, because I've heard this before about, you know, a Facebook token, a Apple token, a Google token, and that.
Yeah, but there was
twice before.
But there wasn't laws, there wasn't regulation, so they couldn't. Even if they wanted, that was just speculation from people, and people just talking, you know, some bullshit, really, you know, because big players will never go anywhere that involves money if there isn't regulations or laws for it. They can't. Yeah.
Yep.
So I truly believe some of them are going to go that way, you know,
okay.
And they will go big time.
I guess that will be interesting as well, because you compare it to the Middle East, which it's developed a reputation as being crypto-friendly regulation. Certainly for Dubai and Abu Dhabi, and in some ways Bahrain, I guess, as well. It's interesting that they've developed a reputation for creating regulation, like, you know, things around VAR and that kind of thing, which are definitely encouraging innovation. And then the States is putting in stuff which almost feels like it's kind of catch up. It's putting in place the regulation that they thought they had in some ways. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see where it goes in the next few months. So What else is happening then, JT? Because normally you leave it until the last minute and throw in about half a dozen hand grenades about really interesting stuff. So tell us a bit earlier this week.
Liberty Financial launched the token, yeah.
What's that?
The Trump's Liberty Financial, WLFI, I think it's called, the token.
Okay.
They launched it, and it's just going down and down and down and down, and people are like, wow. But I'm not surprised. I actually said from the beginning, it's going to happen the same like the Trump token, yeah. And
Okay.
look where we are. So I think that was the most significant thing that happened this week, that I'm aware. I'm sure there are more, but
Okay. So is the World of Liberty, is that what I call Wolfie Club?
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because it's got a fairly classic chart on that. I'll just quickly share it. That
It was going down quite a lot, so where it is now.
It was doing this whole static and then suddenly explodes and you get some excitement and then collapses away or whatever.
I don't know if this is the one.
Yeah. So it looks like it had some sort of peak and then just zapped right down.
It's at
again.
11 cents already.
Yeah.
Wow. I think it was at 21 when last time I saw it. It was just Friday night, I think, or Saturday morning. Can't remember.
Yeah, I distrust any token or coin that has these massive spikes like this. So
I don't know. I just distrust tokens launched by certain type of people. I think I don't need to tell you more.
What crypto people?
No, this is Trump family token. So
okay, no. Oh, I'm not going to get into that dispute because
no, let's not talk about politics.
Well, no.
Yeah.
I've got a vested interest because the president of the USA is about to visit the UK and will be quite close to where I am. So I don't want to get a load of Osprey helicopters circling over my house for the wrong reason.
Don't worry, you're a nobody like me and everyone.
That's good. So, what? Anything else happening? That is.
I mean, there was all the stuff around economics in the US. Jobs announcements and pretty bad figures, which I think is making a lot of people quite worried about going into a recession very, very fast.
Yeah. And it is bizarre as well because I've seen talk about recessions for so long now. And I keep saying that I don't think we're going into a recession. I think we're going into a depression.
It depends, Gary.
It may depend on your definitions and that, whatever. But certainly when prices are going up and demand isn't, that's generally a bad place to be. Because that means when you cut back, Stuart and I were talking before about like job cuts and that kind of thing, when they suddenly hit home, because you've not got the demand to support the amount of businesses that you're offering or products or whatever. And at the same time, prices are still going up and you've got inflation. Rising inflation and decreasing demand is a bad combination. So we'll see. Hopefully I'm wrong.
There's so many vectors on these. It's neat. Look, if you look at the crisis, 2008 crisis, we know what happened with the mortgages and all the CFDs and packaging stuff, and then I actually urge you guys to if you didn't watch it again, because it's so relevant at the moment. Watch that, okay? You'll start to understand what's going to happen next year at some point, okay?
Watch what again?
The China Hustle, the documentary.
The China Hustle.
Yeah.
Okay. I can see Elena's writing this down here.
So basically, go to YouTube. It's there,
Okay.
Then what happened was after the 2008 crisis, around 2010, 11, that's when China started to come out. Yeah. Everybody was like, wow, China is growing fast. So there was a group of guys, you'll understand all of the documentary, I watched this a while back, yeah, and someone told me you have to watch again, and you see how relevant it is today. You start to understand why. Yeah? And what they did was they brought stocks. So they brought companies from China to the stock market in the US by doing reverse takeovers. Okay,
Okay.
so it's very hard to get listed on the stock exchange in the US, yeah, in New York. So very, very hard. And so what they did was they were going and they were hiring groups of people to actually pick up on small companies in China, from, I don't know, coal mining, you name it, yeah, all sorts of agriculture. There was a lot of agriculture, but they were actually not big companies. Some of them have only 12 million workers, and then they were going to raise $100 million by going through the reverse takeover on the stock exchange. So there was a huge boom of stocks being listed in the US. Yeah. I'm talking about hundreds of billions of dollars, of money from pension funds, you name it, from savings, from old folks and young folks as well, of course. And yeah, I mean, that guy's one of the guys was shorting, but that guy was short in the market because he was going after all of these scams. That's the
Okay.
way he found to actually expose, yeah, these scams, yeah, uh, and it's fascinating, the whole documentary. You understand really what happened there. I mean, that was really, really bad, and that's what drove the first dip on the stock exchange when people started to spot it. It was this all a scam from China, with a few banks in the US and a few players in the US, and nothing bad happened to anyone. They paid fines,
Yeah.
So since then, yeah, in my opinion, the stock market has gone, steady up after all of that, around 2015, 16, and went a little bit down, but it started to recover well until COVID, yeah. In the end, you have to understand that all of these financial mechanisms, yeah, capitalism is good, yeah, but capitalism is good if it is really thriving by people who want to produce, and grows, and it's great, but the problem is there are the people that abuse the free market economy and capitalism by doing things that are orthodox things, yeah. And it's all about extracting value. Whatever they can get, they will. Let me just finish.
Okay.
Let me just finish. Extracting value. So what they do is go to markets and they manipulate the markets, and it's all about extracting values from everyone. We are at the point now that they could not extract more value, yeah, and do all of these manipulations of the market from all different vehicles, and they came to crypto at the right time. So you start to see a lot of packaging of all different types of things, not just ETFs. You're going to see a lot more as soon as the laws are created, and they're going to do the same into crypto. So I think when they start, they will dump on the market. Make no mistake, all of these big players will dump on the market, and who suffers was the last ones that bought at a high price. Yeah, retail usually, funds, pension funds that came late. The people who really don't understand some of these new vehicles. So they will just go on the bandwagon. Hey, we're making 30%, 40%. When it drops fast.
Let's go with it. Stuart, you were about to say something as
Yeah.
well.
Well, I was going to say that JT is talking about scamming and doing this, doing that. It's actually taking advantage of what the rules say. I mean, if you can do that, do it. I mean, people who think they've got shares in a lot of Chinese companies would probably be aghast if they looked. Most of those are out of the BVI, and there's no linkage back to China.
Yeah, I agree with you. There's a link. I mean, just because they're I call them scams when I see bad practice. Yeah, and they will exploit certain things that were not.
That's just because you haven't invested in it and made money.
No, it's not because of that.
If you'd have made a lot of money, you'd say this is
No,
great.
no, that's not because of that at all. Look, I don't know if you saw the China Hustle. The guy, he was the guy that started to short the market. He made a lot of money, and it caused them the same thing. These are scams. And
I think it's more about it's information asymmetry, isn't it?
Yes.
It's that one side
yeah.
knows something that the other side doesn't. And as Stuart says, if one side knows that they're not actually a Chinese company, and the other one thinks that because they're called whatever they assume they are, it is exploiting naivety or lack of research or whatever, which is what regulators are meant to protect against.
But they were actually named as Chinese company. The actual name of the Chinese company, yeah? Okay. I mean, there's no mistake here. They were clearly identified. The problem is you can try to go and get any information about the Chinese company. I mean, there was one of the guys that were facilitating, bringing all of these Chinese companies to the reverse takeover companies, etc. He was a Chinese guy. He was arrested by the authorities that was trying to run away because he didn't agree with some of the things. They were trying to hide, no audits, nothing, until they sent some investigators, you'll see on documentary, to China, and they actually saw some of these places, factories and so on. They will turn on the lights for a buzz of investors to come there to see in one day the lights of the factory, everything, just with some workers there. And then, as soon as the buzz went away, they shut down the lights again. And they were there for 20 days, I think, and the factory didn't turn on the lights, I mean, it's insane. There was hundreds of these companies that were listed on the stock exchange. So these are scams, really, okay? Now, when they went to the banks in the US and they talked to them about these, they told them to get out of there. They say, we don't want to hear this. The guy says it on the video. When you watch the video, it's incredible what happened, and they only got fines, nothing else. Because you can't get any information from China. You know that, yeah. Try to go and get anything, it's impossible. So that's the problem. That was the problem.
What would you like? I can get any information from China that you want.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just saying what that guy said. Okay,
yeah.
On video. Okay, so
I think from what I've seen is that you do generally need to have connections in China in some way to act on your behalf, because they've either got insights to the market or the regulation or whatever. But then that's kind of true with any market. Certainly in emerging markets, you need people who are actually in that marketplace to explain how the market works, how the businesses work, that kind of thing. There's nothing kind of that new with it, except I do accept that China does have something of a reputation that it is very much a one-way street in terms of getting information out about companies. But it's something, it's a market I tend to stay away from. I deal with the insurance sector, and I find them fascinating. So I've done some work with some big Chinese insurers, and it is very interesting that they're very, very enthusiastic about learning, not so enthusiastic about sharing in terms of what they're doing, that kind of thing. So,
but a lot of it is the mentality. What it stems from is when the Russians were there, the Russians had a falling out, as you know, in the 50s with China over how communism should be run. And the edict was to learn everything you can from the Russians before they leave. And so they copied, wrote down plans, did whatever they had to do. And it went on for probably 7-8 years. And it got ingrained into people that what they should do is extract information from others that are foreigners. And they would just absorb it. And what you see is not innovation in China. You actually see we take a product and we make it better. Because they don't have to worry about R&D because they don't do a lot of R&D. They're starting to do that now, but even my mother-in-law would read my documents if I left them out when I lived there. And just one second. Turn off the robot cleaner. So
Is it a Chinese one by any chance?
no, it
For
isn't.
sure.
It's probably
Made
made
in
it.
China.
Yeah, it's got a few
But
microchips in there that are listening
yeah,
carefully.
you're listening, yes. Ting dong. Anyway, the whole culture has been up until the last 20 years. It's starting to go away, but it's almost seen by college students, even when they come to the US, if they go and work for a US company and that product is not in China, they want to lift it. They'll lift the code, they'll do all sorts of things. A lot of people don't believe this, and they still employ the Chinese, but they will take stuff, and they will take it because they've been working on it and they feel it's theirs.
And
And
but
that's from
it's
the Soviet Mao era.
I was going to say the interesting thing I've seen is kind of like an evolution because it was a thing in the 1970s, 1980s. China as a producer was generally known as a copyright. Sorry, a copier.
Yes.
That they'd counterfeit things, they'd copy things, generally
But
low
they did
quality.
prove them. It was local.
Well, I think that's the thing that's where it's changed now because they've moved on from just copying to actually innovating and actually making things better than the original.
Yes.
And that's where I think the West, in some ways, is struggling because we've now effectively handed over the knowledge and the IP, and we haven't then maintained the lead on the innovation of using it, whereas they have, and they've got no qualms about that.
Yeah, look, you guys are wrong. Okay.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
there was a report recently. I was thinking now about what was the
JT,
link,
before you
so I can
jump
send
in
to
and
you.
call us wrong,
So
remember, and that I lived in China for 5.5 years, and
okay,
I've got tremendous political connections there because of what I
okay.
was doing. So
So
be careful where you tread.
no. I'm just saying very simple things. Okay, here it isn't still proper innovation. Okay, that they have, and the fact is, you look at over the last 300, 500 years, yes, including more recently, and you don't have really big names, anyone that is an inventor, creator, or any amazing technology that was actually created in China. Still today, you don't have. Name me one technology, yeah, that was created in China was like, wow, there isn't. Okay? So still today, they are lacking that. And they still today, that's why they're still sending the students to Harvard, Oxford, Cambridge, and so on.
Wasn't it?
Sorry?
That's what we said, that they'll take an idea that the Western world has spent R&D on, and then they will enhance that product.
You mean copy? Yes, I understand. It's true. Yeah,
I
that's not
think,
innovation.
I think we're agreeing with each other. So
Yeah.
what they do is they lift the idea and then they make improvements on it. Now, whether the substantial improvements or not doesn't matter. It's the fact it's a little bit better or a little bit cheaper that actually then gains you the market share or the advantage or whatever.
Because
So
they're
they're really
work.
good at is productionizing and taking it then to market.
Yep.
Yeah, which was part of the manufacturing process, really. Yeah. Now, of course, innovation can happen on the actual manufacturing process, but the biggest factories are still not Chinese. It's still Italian technology, German technology. The real good people at creating robotization and so on. All of those technologies are still not created in China. They are improved in China. And then, of course, all the projects that they are making, technology projects and so on, are also productionized and taken to market. So even the innovation doesn't happen at the scale that we all think, look, we know that Tesla was the one that enabled the EV market in China, so they copied pretty much everything. And how many brands you see of Chinese electric vehicles car? Loads, and better than Tesla now, yes? More modern, that's what I say.
So without going down the BYD motor vehicle route or the DJI drone route, and think of it in terms of crypto, are we seeing any crypto innovations out
No.
of there?
They're not allowed to hold crypto.
Mhm.
What the High Court said was that if you're an individual and you hold crypto, that is fine, but you cannot have it for speculation purposes. And you're not allowed to have, there should be no mining, there is no crypto market, and the only crypto market that they will endure is the central bank electronic coin.
RMB.
No, that's the yuan or the renminbi.
Electronic yuan.
Yeah.
Or renminbi.
RMB, yeah.
People's money.
Mm.
So does crypto go on in China? Yes. There is money that comes out of China, usually via Macau or Hong Kong, that invests in crypto, but they tend to make large purchases, and you're talking, $100,000 at a time or more. And most of the money is what's called hot money, which is derived from bribery and other sources, enhancing or inflating contracts and taking a cut, things like that.
So it's just a way of expatriating the money over the border in some ways. Yeah. Okay.
And they're trying to cut that out.
Well, that was that not the theme and the idea of, they thought, with a lot of crypto mining for a while, that crypto mining provided an opportunity to legitimately buy computer things, so you had a legitimate expense, but the benefit of that expense could be cross-border type thing. So it gave an opportunity for
what they did
transfer the money out.
Yeah, is to try and cut down the outflow of money. Because if you had a free outflow, right now, the maximum amount you can transfer out as a citizen of China is 50,000 US, equivalent of 50,000 US dollars a year. You can send money for college, but you've got to have the I-9 processed and everything else. You can send money out against invoices, but those are subject to review. And you have to go through a process of getting the money. If you're just starting business, that's very difficult. If you're a continuing business, it's not so bad.
I think it's going to change.
What makes you think that?
Maybe I'm wrong, because if the US, the regulations are going to come on, and as soon as they start to see, big brands, they will. Not all of them, but as soon as one of them sees the opportunity, like Apple or Amazon, they have all the vehicles, or Google, so to attach a token instead of giving rewards to people, it doesn't matter. They will come, They will have their own coin. It means it opens the market for any company to create. And the Genius Act was actually quite genius, because as we all know, the dollar the value is going down for quite a while. Okay. Now, enabling anyone to create a stable coin makes the dollar more relevant. It doesn't stop from going down, but will make it more relevant, because now you have lots and lots of stable coins that are backed by the US dollar. Now, the rest of the world are going to see that. Most of the countries, Western countries, many others, are going to start to implement the same laws, because they'll see the opportunity. It will be a boom, in my opinion, or the opportunity. If you get that in first, you're going to make it better than anyone else, right? It's always that opportunity. So I think China, either they want or not, they're going to be dragged into it. I don't think they will see I mean, they could just be the only player. They can if they want, of course, but I doubt it. They'll be the only ones that will stay outside of that. Unless, of course, China, India, Russia, Brazil, they get together and say, no, we're not going to go into the crypto way. Brazil seems to be going. Okay. India, I'm hearing a lot of talks. There's a lot of conversation at government level to try to maybe change the laws. Yeah.
Yes, that's
So,
correct.
India's been talking about that
yeah.
for 8 years, I think now, because I was involved in some stuff with some innovation of a couple of the states within India. And even back in 2017, 2018, there was talk about the Indian financial regulator introducing regulation. Then there was a Supreme Court case that went through that actually permitted crypto. Then there was talk about the government making an announcement, and then it didn't, and then it didn't, and then it didn't. So I think the regulatory announcement that the Indian government was due to make is probably about 3 years old now and still hasn't happened. So it keeps being deferred, delayed, or whatever. And then you have an election, Modi gets re-elected again, and the focus keeps changing. So, yeah, India's very interesting in as much as you keep hearing that something's about to be announced, and it never is. So we'll watch that space. So, talking of time and that kind of thing, conscious we are getting close to on the hour. So I was going to offer that we wrap up at that point because we're still being very peaceful and friendly with each other. I just see that there's going to be a disagreement at some point. So I was going to say, folks, time to close off the evening. If you're in the Western Hemisphere,
We'll have 3 minutes.
We've got 3 minutes, which means I can talk about the full moon eclipse this evening if you're in the West.
Red moon?
Yep, the red moon.
Blood moon, blood moon.
Watch out for that. So yeah,
do you know that there are going to be 8 what's it called, terads, isn't it?
8 what?
Terads, I think it's the name.
Not translating. What you meaning?
Oh my God, I think it's terads, isn't it?
Terads.
Yeah.
I know about terabytes.
What is it in your own language, JT?
I was trying to remember what it really means. Someone was telling that. Tetrads. Sorry, tetrads.
Well, what does it relate to?
It's about the moon's eclipse, yeah?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's triple red moons. I think that's what it means.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah, there's going to be 8 this century,
okay,
which is super interesting. And a fact for you guys is that there was, I think, last century, something like, if I'm not mistaken, 200 and something red moons. Yeah.
I love it because when you think about what an eclipse like that is, it's a shadow. And that's all it is.
Yeah, there was 229 lunar eclipse in the 20th century, and 81 were blood moons.
I just worry what people think that's going to do to the Bitcoin price.
There's always people connecting things with it.
Exactly. Folks, that does take us on to the hour. So we'll close off with that and wish everyone a great day. Thanks as always for the conversation. JT, Stuart, Elena, have a great day.